Hello and welcome back to part 3 of doing your UJ joint for your Land Rover prop shaft. What you might find on one of the yokes is that it's angled and it's not straight, so the socket will sit on at a slant. You can see the slant on that. You could grind the socket out, or just be careful when you fit it into your G-cramp that it doesn't slip. Positioning it just right and having the socket sit so it's not going to slip when you apply pressure onto it will make the job a lot easier. In part 1 I showed you how to measure a prop shaft UJ so you know what you're dealing with, and we've got our 75mm one. Any storesman worth his salt will actually be able to tell you what the measurements are for certain prop shaft joints, so I'm not going to give any part numbers here. You'll be able to find GKN Hardy Spicer joints on the Paddock website, so if you're looking for them, check them out. They'll be under the relevant vehicles. Okay, well here's a heads up first. With the caps that you have needle rollers in them, okay? And they're quite happily sat in there. So we should leave them like that. Now I'm going to show you something which can cause a lot of damage and some tears. If we get this focused in, you can see that there's a needle roller sitting in the bottom of the cap. Now if it's like that, when you put your spider on and push it in, it will crack the cap open. So just be aware of this. I'm going to show you how to fit these so you don't have this problem. Generally, first of all, what we're going to do, we'll take a couple of caps off, and I'll put this one to the side somewhere and not get it dirty. And then put the end of the spider in, and then we're going to push the cap in first of all, so the spider's holding the needle rollers in place. Alright, so initially first you want to be setting up your cap so you can push it in. Alright, now a socket that is not squarely on the cap might well cause damage to the yoke as you push it in. So take your time and get it just right. You need the socket to go inside the yoke itself and not cause damage anywhere. You can see I'm having a little bit of trouble here starting it, but once it's off, I'm pushing it in and it will push this cap into place. Now there is an area that you want it to rest at. Now stopping just before I get to it, what I need to do is take it just past the groove where the circlip would sit. Now that isn't quite there. When I've got this positioned, then that will be a lot easier. We'll put the clip on and then put the cap on the other side. As you can see, this is a bit fiddly and I need to get it just right. Right, you can see the cap going in little by little, and check it again. Okay, so does that look like I could fit a clip in there? That does. The groove is showing. It doesn't matter if you go a little bit over, you can always push it back a little bit. There you go, you can see the slot. Next, the second cap goes on, and if you just put it into place and then slide the spider across, making sure you don't knock any of the needles, it will sit there just nicely and you can push the other side in. Okay, well a little bit of care is needed to push this in. Take it easy and check it. What you'll find is a little bit stiff at first, but don't worry about that. I've got the slot on this side, and I can put a clip in there if I want to, which I think I'll do right now with the circuit pliers. This side will drop in very easily because it is just slightly past where the clip groove is. If you haven't damaged it, then the clip will go in easily. Now the other side, obviously it hasn't quite reached it, so what I want to do is make sure that it's pushed in and it will go in. The joint will be stiff at this point, and don't worry about that. Now there we go, that's pushed it to where it should do. At some point you'll be happy that you can fit the other clip in, and as a bit of a heads up, it still will be stiff at this point, don't worry about it. A little tip here is, if you can't quite get the clip in, just tap it in with a chisel to make sure that it is perfectly at home in the slot. You should already be aware that you can do the same thing for the other half with the other two caps. This one I'm putting a clip in before I put the other cap on. It's not really that important which way around you do it, but I'm dropping this in, and actually this is quite loose, so I pushed it a little bit too far. That will be adjusted later on. Okay, anyway, we'll turn it in the vise, get the next cap on and the clip on. So the cap's finally there, and there is a groove enough to fit the clip into place. This is the last component to be fitted into place before everything gets squared up and then greased. Alright, so dropping the clip in, easy enough. Alright, that's gone into place. You can see there's a gap between the two eyes, but I'm just going to make sure, and with each of the clips I'm going to knock them further into the grooves to make sure that they are fitted properly. I don't want these coming out. Okay, so knocking it round, that moves around and that's squarely in. This is vitally important. You don't want it spinning out on the road. These go at quite a high speed. Right then, the next thing to do is the fun part. Because the UJ will be quite stiff at the moment, you can see that it's the way it's moving, it's stiff. What we want to do is square it up with a hammer or your Land Rover adjusting tool, which is very much approved, and just tap it. You don't need to hit it so hard that it will crimp it together, but what you're looking for is smoothness of each of the joints. So when you fit it to your vehicle, it won't be stiff and cause vibrations. Now this is perfect. Last job is just to grease the joints up so they're serviceable, and paint it if you so require, then fit it to the vehicle. So there you go, it's all done. Easy, huh?